Welcome to Two Women in Crypto, a weekly podcast birthed on a whim by two women who are excited about the cryptocurrency landscape and have a shared passion about empowering others to step into the digital, tokenized world of the future. We offer tips, tricks, and our own individual insights as to how to begin to navigate this shift. We are not financial advisors nor experts. We are just here to encourage you to look at the possibilities. So welcome to the future. You're right on time. Good morning, Andrea.
Good morning, Kelly. How is everything in Portland?
Well, we are fully thrust into summer. We skipped spring, and it's great. Everybody's loving the fact that we have sun. We just have a lot of it very quickly. So no complaints, it's weather, and thank goodness we have it.
This is true. Yeah. Florida's hot. Very, very hot.
Yeah.
So
summertime.
Yeah. All right. So welcome back to Two Women in Crypto, everybody. It's going to be a great show. We have a lot to talk about.
Every day gives us so many amazing nuggets, right?
The world is moving very, very quickly.
It
so
is very, very
quickly.
And we're going to just start by saying, Andrea and I, neither one of us are financial advisors. We're truly here for your entertainment purposes only, because we entertain ourselves greatly.
Yeah.
But yes, because we're both setting up to, the phone decided it wanted to participate in the conversation, to do, some speaking engagements on both ends of the country. And we're just sharing the information that we do have. But by no means are we experts on any particular subject.
This is very, very true. This is very true. And we're encouraging everyone to take some time out and do some research, because we are moving into a digital economy, right? So, and that's part of it. And a lot of the things that Kelly and I always talk about is protecting your cryptocurrency. So if you choose to buy cryptocurrency, we want everybody to get a hardware wallet, and you transfer your coins, you keep them on the blockchain, and you use that little device that stores your keys, to sign those transactions so you can move your cryptocurrency around. So all over Twitter, all over, the crypto news, one of the hardware wallets that we've been recommending since the beginning, it's one of the original hardware wallets, Ledger, has decided that they are going to be offering a subscription service. So if you want Ledger to hold your recovery phrase, because it is scary, right, Kel? To be your own bank, it's terrifying. So if you lose your recovery and you can't remember, or you lose your device, you lose your cryptocurrency.
Not if you lose your device. Only if you lose your seed phrase.
Right. So if you lose your seed phrase, you're kind of screwed. So Ledger's like, hey, we're going to offer you the subscription service for $9.99. When the new firmware update comes out, that's when the subscription is going to be available for all Ledger hardware holders. So everyone who's listening to this, I'm not a financial advisor, either is Kelly. But what I'm personally doing and what Kelly is personally doing, do not upgrade your firmware, and let's start talking about other hardware wallets, which Kelly and I have multiple ones. So, and that was the other thing, like, for our group here at Two Women in Crypto, most of our group has more than one hardware wallet in case something like this were ever to happen. And this is something that we've talked about. Because we're early, things change, right? Things are changing so quickly. We don't know. Like, we don't know who's going to rise to the top, and there's all new competition and all of these things.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the biggest things that we teach at the very, very beginning, especially, is safety. And safety every single day, especially as projects launch. There's scammers out there for everything. So just it is overwhelming. There's no doubt about it. But to be really super organized but absolutely not a fan of anybody holding my seed phrase for any reason whatsoever. And I certainly would not be participating with Ledger based on that firmware update. So then that says, well, do I need to start looking, like you said, to other wallets? And we use SafePal a lot, but SafePal, and I know we're going to touch on this and what the reason is behind it. Not too long ago, they were requiring KYC to continue in the SafePal hard wallet if you were a Binance.com, which is in the European area. Then you had to do the KYC. U.S. citizens, if they're using a Binance, they're not able to do that because it's just not, we're not set up here in the States yet. But to that point, what do you feel? And you and I agree on this as to why they're moving in that direction.
Right. So, I mean, I think there's two things, right? So one, Ledger might be suffering financially. So here's a $9.99 a month subscription service. Will hold your recovery seed phrase, and they do it like it's called sharding, right? So it's not like they just hold your 24 words. They keep it in like three, it's broken down into like three different like puzzle pieces that they put together to give to you. So it makes it a little bit more safer, but that's not the point of a hardware wallet. And I think the main thing that Kelly and I were talking about is, are they getting ready for everyone to KYC
on any hardware
on a hardware wallet?
Right.
So
as we move more into the regulations of what crypto is, and every country's taken their own steps, but they're all going to fall into a very similar line, I'm sure. That could be very much part of it. So we keep on looking at what's available.
Yeah, because I was looking into the MiCA bill that passed in Europe, and it's like anything over $1,000 transfer is KYC. So, so in Europe, if you have a hardware wallet, are you going to have to KYC if you're transferring more than $1,000 worth of crypto at a time? So regulation is coming. We know they want to track us. It's kind of silly in a way, though, because the blockchain is open source, it's public, and everyone can see every transaction. So, but here we go. And what are we going to do, right? I mean, so we just try to figure out the best path moving forward. But again, it's pretty sad. Ledger has been like my big hardware wallet, but things change and you just got to go with the flow.
Right. You do. So here we are.
So I've been doing research. Let me try to find my notes. So there's a really good wallet that I'm going to be looking into a little bit more. It's called Ngrave, Ngrave. It's $400. The reason why I love this wallet so much, and I know $400 is like a lot of cash, but our privacy and our security, like as we move more and more towards mass adoption, we will be paying for our security and our privacy in this fee-based economy that they're pushing us into. And that's just the bottom line. But check it out.
I will.
Ngrave.
I'm familiar with that one.
Yeah. Ngrave provides offline services. So if Wi-Fi goes down or you don't want to connect to Wi-Fi, you could still make a transaction.
Oh, interesting. Is it an air-gapped wallet? Because one of the other wallets I've been using a lot lately, especially with the launch of Pulse, is my Keystone, which is an air gap. You just do QR code signatures. Is it an air gap as well?
I have to do more research on it, and I wrote down like there's Decent, which is like a biometric wallet, which again, I don't feel comfortable with putting any of my biometrics online because we do not have the security to protect our identity right now, so I don't really trust that wallet. There's EliPay. I had a client that was using EliPay this week. And so I'm going to break down like the top, like maybe 5 emerging wallets and do a deeper dive on the Ngrave wallet, because I kind of like that idea of having everything offline, and it looks like the security is just phenomenal.
Absolutely.
But I'll find out if it's air gapped. Stay tuned. We'll do an update next week and the top couple of hardware wallets. And again, like if you have everything on Ledger is fine, just don't upgrade your firmware. And when you have some free time, I know it's another step, but we're going to be moving all of our crypto off of Ledger.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just, in thinking through that, quite often what happens with these upgrades that eventually for you to be able to even use the device, you have to facilitate an upgrade.
Yeah,
So I would be a proponent of just myself. I'll just remove what I do have on Ledger fairly soon.
definitely.
That's the process that I will take.
Yeah, and then just keep your ledger, keep your ledger as like a dummy, right? So if somebody, comes into your house, just they take your ledger, they think they have your crypto, and there's nothing on it.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, so disappointing, but again, I think as things change, things are, we're just going to change with it, and we're in the flow. And I always say, Kel, it's like a price we pay for being early.
Absolutely. And oh my gosh, are we still so early? There's so many things. And just real quick on that wallet situation too, because I really had that new wallet of Ledger coming out on my list. I was really excited about that one.
Me too.
Take it off of my stalking list. But yeah. Yep.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And again, it's like as we're in this bear market, right? So it's kind of like the year of building. I think a lot of these hardware wallets, they're going to be way more user friendly for like the average person to use. So it's just like taking some time and just like either let us do the research, we'll bring them to you. But I do think that things will be way more streamlined very, very soon, and we won't have it won't be so clunky and hard with the buttons and doing things like that.
Right.
So, and we need it to be more user friendly in order for mass adoption to happen.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because I think that's one of the things that is so overwhelming and frustrating when you're first starting because you have all these devices between using your phone and your hardware wallets and how to make them talk to each other. And yeah, there's a lot of steps involved
Yeah.
for sure. It doesn't take, it's not, you have to have some thick skin to come into the process, but we're here to help you, hold your hand, help you get through it because it is an overwhelming thing at first.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So there's our ledger update. Let's jump into the SEC versus Ripple case because there's definitely good news for XRP holders. And I just kind of want to break it down and talk a little bit about it. And we'll also be jumping into Ethereum a little bit because I've been nerding out all week listening to some blockchain leaders in the industry talking about, you know, what projects are being adopted and stuff like that. So
All right, well,
super
dive
fun.
in.
All right. So Judge Torres came out this week. She said basically the Bill Hinman emails. Bill Hinman was the director of the SEC who spoke openly and said Ethereum is a commodity, not a security. There's many videos of Bill Hinman flying around the internet discussing this. Now, the SEC wanted these emails to be sealed and not released to the public. Judge Torres told the SEC they have until June 6th to release these emails unsealed.
And
So,
unredacted.
and unredacted. Okay. So the SEC has until June 6th. There's so many lawyers that have been following this case, and they said from the beginning the SEC will never let these emails get released to the public because the information contained in these emails is absolutely terrible for the SEC. I put in Brad Garlinghouse. I think I was sharing this. So Brad Garlinghouse back in January publicly stated that these emails will shame the SEC, question why the SEC sued Ripple in the first place.
Awesome. So this, I mean, what is so exciting about this time of absolute chaos is everything's being reworked throughout the world. There's nobody that's being left unscathed, is that facet of truth. All the curtains are being parted and things are coming out left and right, across the board on any subject line. So I look forward to seeing what is revealed.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So if the SEC settles with Ripple, they can make an agreement that those emails will never be released to the public. Okay. Well, so let's see how this rolls, what Gary Gensler decides to do. Now, if they release the emails and there's still no, judgment on this case, really Judge Torres only has until September 30th to make a decision on this lawsuit. Otherwise, she has to go to Congress and say why the case is delayed. And they say that that's very much frowned upon in the government. It's kind of like pretty shameful that like you would have to go to Congress. So it's hardly ever done. So I'm thinking we have until today and September 30th with the likelihood of having, some sort of summary judgment. I'm hoping by June 6th, if they don't want these emails exposed. And we'll see. Who knows? The SEC might have something up their sleeve.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we know we're getting closer. So,
yeah. And, it's just interesting, too, because let's say Gary releases the emails and he blocks everything out and he redacts all of the emails again. Like, honestly, like this dude's got to be held in contempt of court because, Judge Torres has asked for these emails. How long does she ask for them? Time and time and time again. This lawsuit has been going on for over 2.5 years. Ripple has spent $200 million. There's 75,000 XRP holders or people in the community that have gotten together, put a lawsuit in against the SEC. What is Ripple and what is XRP and how is that going to be used in our new digital economy? I mean, I don't know, the whole case could have been to slow Ripple down with their adoption so everything can be Ethereum. And it is. Ethereum is everywhere. So we can speculate. It's very interesting. But at the same time, we're seeing a lot of adoption, at least with Ripple and XRP globally.
Yeah, right. Exactly. It's not just here in the States, of course, it is global. And, there's not everybody's going to survive. We feel 100% that, XRP, of course, will, because it's already being adopted in other places. But who knows who's going to be left standing at the end of all this?
It's going to be really interesting to watch. Really interesting to watch. But I'll tell you, I also remember Brad Garlinghouse talking about Ripple and XRP. And I remember him specifically saying XRP is the heartbeat of Ripple.
Oh,
heartbeat.
The pulse.
So what does Ripple do during the course of this week? Oh, since they have $1 billion set aside in cash to keep building during the bear market, well, they just bought a custodial company in Switzerland called Metaca. Okay. So now Ripple can provide custodial services for your crypto.
Interesting.
And who's partnered with Metaca? Oh, Citi and like all these major banks from all around the world. Okay, so I think our banking system's changing. Custody services for, these cryptocurrency assets are coming in while we're fighting for regulation. And it makes sense that the United States doesn't want regulation for digital assets because we have the dollar. We have legacy financial systems that literally rule the world. Well, and they won't be for much longer, right? Because they're crashing.
Right. The hegemony is definitely failing. So, but isn't it interesting though, too, because you said it was in Swiss, it was a Swiss company, right?
Yeah, it's a Swiss-based custodial company. There was a lot of talk that Ripple was going to buy Polysign. That's been like kind of like a big rumor going in the XRP community, but they decided to buy Metaca One, probably because they're outside the United States. They have regulatory clarity. And I think it just aligned with like kind of like their business model more so than PolySign. But maybe, you know, and I'm sure they'll have multiple custodials. But this is really, really big news. You know, like this is like, I want somebody to custody my gold, right? Put it in a vault. Like Ripple is providing those services. Is Ripple going to become a bank? They're a software technology company, but mine, you know,
Well, but moving into that digital landscape, right? And that is
everything is
where
changing.
Switzerland has always been where the world elite has always held their
Yep,
money. So,
absolutely, right?
and
The
everything
laws are different.
absolutely is completely different. So that would make sense.
Yep. Yep. And you know, so we have Swiss, which, you know, the laws are, you know, are favorable for digital assets, as well as Dubai and Singapore. You know, there's a lot of talk that Dubai and Singapore are really going to propel us into the next bull cycle. So we'll be watching that as well. Um, yeah, I was watching videos about Dubai. Very interesting.
Well, it's funny because I had a dream of a friend of mine that I need to reach out to, but I had a dream of him and his partner moving to Dubai, and I think that that's anyway. Yeah, a lot of people live there because of the financial rules, if you will.
No, absolutely, absolutely. And think about it. If the United States comes after all of the cryptocurrency holders, or let's just say they make XRP a security, and then they jack up the taxes, you know, Ripple's going to have to pay all this extra money, follow all these additional rules to get it like on the NASDAQ or wherever it's going to go, then what's going to happen to people who've been holding XRP for a really long time? Their digital asset is now worth so much money. You're going to have super wealthy people move out of the United States, which is terrible for the United States. People who have a lot of money need to stay in the States to build and make the United States better. Innovation, jobs, you know, being productive. But if people are fleeing to Ecuador, Dubai, Singapore, Portugal, like all these other places, it's not a good sign for the United States.
No, well, we all know that the government needs to belly up to the bar and make it so it makes sense for people to stay, but at this point, it doesn't.
Right, right.
Yeah, a lot of
So, you know, what was that, Kel?
a lot of work to be done.
Yeah, a lot of work to be done. And like I've been watching some of the hearings, you know, with the CFTC and the SEC, like the people that oversee them. And I just don't think we're going to get a bill signed this year. Like, I just don't think it's going to happen. I was hoping we would get like some sort of stable coin bill, but like, unless there's like an absolute emergency, I don't see anything being signed this year. It's just taking way too long. I know like the Democrats really want to focus on like taking a lot of our privacy rights away. The Republicans are arguing. I don't see anything happening. Um, but everybody can go to crypto law and follow, right? Because there's so many lawyers that are involved with the XRP case that are now saying, hey, contact your representatives, contact your senators, because we don't want a central bank digital currency without privacy. I mean, no one wants a central bank digital currency at all, but it's really important that we have some sort of privacy moving into this digital economy. People don't understand the importance of privacy until it's taken away.
Right, and I think it'll be one of the key points to the election next year,
I,
of course.
it seems that way.
Yeah, I really do. And did you see that Canada has started to roll out their CBDC? I think it was just a few days ago or just recently, and they're having massive pushback,
Awesome.
which is
Awesome.
good. We want to see that happen.
Yeah, we want to see, yeah, I mean, and we remember what Canada did to the truck drivers, you know. So again, it's just like I it's I can see the United States pushing back. We'll see. You
Yeah.
know, we'll see. I mean, Florida and Texas already passed a bill. They don't want a central bank digital currency. We're seeing more and more states passing legislation that they want a currency based on gold. There's so many different things that are going on right now. It's going to be really interesting to see over the next 8 years what America looks like.
Yeah.
If we can't all get united and agree, like, I don't know. But speaking of Canada, I wanted to make a mention. Chrystia Freeland, she's the Deputy Prime Minister and Finance Minister of Canada. She was talking about, I'm sorry, my allergies are so bad today. She was talking about preloaded stimulus. What the heck is a preloaded stimulus? Is it some sort of strategy and agenda that the government has to give you a preloaded, agreed upon stimulus? Is that wrapped into the CBDC that they're right? I mean, preloaded stimulus,
Yeah.
you know, ChatGPT didn't really know what it was.
Yeah.
It says it's an obscure term that's not really used in any governmental system.
Yet. Dot, 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 yet. Yeah.
Right? Yeah, I know. So that was like, yeah, I mean, this is, you know, and at the end of the day, like, I'm feeling really good about everything. You know, I just don't see them centralizing everything. I
Well,
just
we
don't.
talked about there's going to be both worlds. I mean, there's going to be some, I mean, the CBDC, I think, will happen, whatever degree. It just is going to
Right.
depend on how you choose to participate. And a lot of people may not have a choice. It just depends on how it's set up. I mean, it's all speculation, right? We have no idea.
Yeah. Yep. And we, the people, once we rise, you know, it's not like the government is created to protect our rights that are already written down. They don't tell us what our rights are, folks. And if they're not protecting our rights, they're not doing their job. I'm just throwing that out there.
Right. Well, I mean, I think that's a whole nother conversation, right? Because if you really do the deep dive into what your rights are, you would really recognize how wonky the system is. And if
Yeah.
you learn the language, you can actually counteract what the supposed rights are that we have if you really
Yeah.
do dive and understand it.
And that's one of the reasons why I love this space, like cryptocurrency, digital assets. People become so educated and so informed, and you have to start watching the government and you have to start watching like just the overall economy because it's all connected, right? So I believe like people like us and everyone in this space are becoming more and more educated that we're going to help decentralize the internet, you know, because the internet is very centralized right now. And it's not just me who's saying it. It's this guy, Paul Brody, who's the global blockchain leader of Metaco, or not Metaco, Ernst and Young, right? So Metaco, right, which is this custodial services platform that got acquired by Ripple, they run like a podcast series because I was doing all this research and I was like, whoa, Ernst and Young, they're like the largest financial services, you know, top 5 auditor in the world. What does this guy from Ernst and Young has to say? Because he knows, right? If anyone knows, the global blockchain leader of Ernst and Young is going to know, right? And he said we need to decentralize the internet. And companies like Google, they can't go open source. They can't. They're so, you know, they're just a closed walled garden collecting all of our data, making money off of it and feeding it into their AI. But like everything that's going to be rolling out in the future is going to be open source.
Right. Yep.
If you have a privatized blockchain, you're going to get hacked. That's just the way it's going to be. Wars look differently now.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know?
Yep.
So what was really interesting, and again, it's just like, you know, I think about this lawsuit and Ripple being sued for 2.5 years, and then listening to this guy, Paul Brody, and he basically said most banks are going to run on Ethereum. That's what he said. Ethereum was the first, right, smart contract platform. You know, at one point, Ripple had a market cap that was higher than Ethereum. But JP Morgan got involved, the SEC got involved, you know, like all of these people, like Bill Hinman got involved, like a lot of government people were backing Ethereum. And now we're seeing Ethereum, really have this chance of becoming like the global world computer for smart contracts, lending platforms, and things like that. So, when I was listening to this Paul Brody speak, one, it makes sense. And it's not just going to be Ethereum. We're going to see all the other blockchains, do really, really well. But I think Ethereum is going to have the mass chunk of the business. Do you agree?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
It's it's the only thing that I am seeing right now. Like, and again, it's like when I think about like what this guy was saying, he's like, most banks will have like all banks are going to have decentralized finance.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that banks can do right now, oh, there's my wife. You're on the podcast, honey. She brought me iced tea. She's so sweet.
Lovely.
So most banks are delaying decentralized finance, right? We don't have regulation and things like that. But he was making this really good analogy of like DeFi is to banking as app stores is to wireless networks.
Yeah.
Very slow to adopt, the wireless networks. How long did it take us to get an app store on our cell phone?
Oh my God, it's all blurred these days, but yeah.
Right. But it took a while. And think about like, on your TV, it took a really long time, but now we can watch YouTube on our TV, any of our favorite apps.
Yeah.
So the banking system is not going to stop decentralized finance. All they can do is slow down the adoption.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're doing a really good job.
Yeah, I know, right?
Gold star.
Yeah. Well, and again, it's just like I know like so many times, like we're in this bear market, some of the projects are pumping, there's always these things. But when you're looking at the financial sector, it's going to be, it is really slow. It's our money, and it's not like an NFT project or a game, or some like small niche that's going to do really well. We're talking about digitizing and tokenizing our entire financial like arena. It's going to take time, and we see everything getting set up.
Right. And it's the whole world over. So everybody's being touched by it. So
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So I think once we get regulation, we're going to start to see like, definitely green lights go off for all of these different banking systems, these financial corporations. Ernst and Young is using the Ethereum blockchain, but they made it better. Here was the other interesting thing. Paul Brody said Ethereum is centralized. So what we did was we created a privacy platform, right? What is it called? It'll pop up back in my notes. It's some privacy platform that's like really going to revolutionize the way that these transactions are done, right? So in the corporate sector, like you have inventory management, asset management, procurement. So these are going to be like some of the first use cases that are going to run off of the Ethereum blockchain. So if you have procurement, rebates, volumes, discounts, all put into a smart contract. Okay. And you're going to use like one token. And how are you going to use the Ethereum network when it's not scalable and the fees are so expensive? They've adopted Polygon. The token is Matic. And they're using that for the scalability on Ernst and Young's EY blockchain. Okay. So let's just keep this in mind, because when I think about Matic and the amount of transactions, Matic can't even do 300 million transactions per day. And the automotive industry does billions of transactions per day. Sure. We have a long way to go. And this is what makes me feel good, because I'm like, we have time. It's going to take them probably a couple of years. Bless you. It's going to take them a couple of years to scale these projects to where they need to be and build out that infrastructure. They're building, this is a year of building. They're definitely building out this infrastructure. But I look at what are the other scaling solutions for Ethereum? Well, we have Arbitron that we talked about. We have Optimism. We have Matic. Those are probably going to be the top three. There's others if you want to do some research. Fantastic. But, you know, those are going to be helping Ethereum scale. If most banks are going to be using Ethereum, decentralized finance offers lending and borrowing platforms, Aave, Compound, not financial advice, but these are probably some of the safer investments within the Ethereum ecosystem. And that's what this guy, Paul Brady, said. He's like, we chose one and we dove in deep and we learned everything that we could about Ethereum's ecosystem.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's like super interesting. And I think the biggest thing too is like feeling overwhelmed of like, I've missed out, or, you know, this market's so boring, whatever it is. Like, it's just such a great time to do research, study all these different projects, and understand, like, if I'm like, okay, if it's going to take 3 years for the banking sector, the automobile sector, to kind of reach that level of scalability for mass adoption, then I feel like we're going to go through a bull run. We're going to crash again, and then we're going to see mass adoption after that. So this is still like a really long process, which helps ground me, to be honest. I don't want everything to change all like really quickly.
Right. No, and I think that we're fortunate because we're, leaning in early, and that FOMO, when it sets in, then people will be rushing to try to get on the game, right? Get on it. But I think we still have, a few years for sure. By 2027, I think you spoke of that date. Certainly by 2030, everything will be set. But now's the time, and we've only talked about the centralized part. There's a whole decentralized world too, in regards to all of that, such as the Pulse network that just Richard Hart just finally launched this last week. So yeah, there's so many opportunities out there, and it's going to take a while for everything to stabilize. And on
No, absolutely.
And super early. We're still super early.
So early. And that there's one exchange where, if you want to jump in on Pulse that you shared with us, Kelly, what was the name of that exchange?
Coinbase is the only one right now that it's listed on.
Pulse is listed on Coinbase.
Coinbase, that was that note that I put in the group yesterday. Yep.
Oh, I thought it was Safe Exchange.
Nope, Coinbase.
Okay.
Yep.
I'll double check. I didn't see it on Coinbase. Look it up real quick. Because I jumped online and I created an account with that Safe Trade.
I don't know what Safe Trade is. I'm not sure. That's not ringing a bell. Let me look real quick. 2 seconds. There's a lot. Oh, it was Safe Trade. Why did I say Coinbase?
Because it's like 6:30 in the morning at your time.
Yeah, it could have been that. No, there's one other thing that I saw yesterday. Yeah. So anyway, it could have been I was in a fog. But
yeah, so Safe Trade. If you want to buy Pulse, you actually have to you can send Tether. The pairing trade with Pulse is Tether. So, just make sure you don't send over USDC. And I think the price of Pulse was like 4 zeros and a 4 or something like that yesterday. So highly speculative. But again, it's like Kelly and I like to bring all these different emerging projects to your attention. So you do your own research, make your own decisions. But, this is something we've talked about briefly, in the past, and there's going to be decentralized platforms that are just going to be cutting edge that are going to compete with our current financial legacy system. So there's alternatives here, growing, evolving, and coming, and it gives me so much hope.
Yeah, absolutely. And just so on the Pulse, so we all understand, it's a complicated system, there's no doubt about it, but you can get Pulse through MetaMask and Pulse. I mean, it's a whole different, get online and do your research, but there's a lot, and be very careful, because right now, anytime there's a new program being launched, there's all kinds of scammers out there. But full, disclosure, I've been participating in it, but I'm doing everything through MetaMask and the Pulse ecosystem without having to go through Safe Trade to own my Pulse.
Right. And I just wanted to mention Safe Trade because I jumped on it yesterday. It's pretty user friendly, really easy to sign up.
Yeah, without getting in the weeds, because getting into the Pulse ecosystem is very weedy. You have to really sit down and go through it. It takes a lot of thought process. But no, absolutely. And I can't wait till it launches on the other exchanges, because regardless of where you're holding or how you acquired any of these tokens, you're early and it's great.
That's right. You
can keep it super simple.
Yep. All right. So yeah, I think that's all I have right now. I do find it interesting that Tether is starting to buy a lot of Bitcoin. I'm keeping an eye on that. Like a lot of Bitcoin. They're converting their Tether into Bitcoin. So let's see what's happening there. I know that the SEC is going after Filecoin for security as well as Algorand. I mean, so we need regulatory clarity for these tokens. I think it's quite ironic. Again, it's like, if these tokens are declared securities, but they're not securities anywhere else in the world besides the United States of America, like, I just find this very hard to believe. You know what I mean? So, when I think about specifically with the XRP case, like, everything is looking good for us. Who knows, what's going to happen to the price. But again, like, I'm a believer in the project. I know that XRP is being used. The Bill Hinman emails, I don't know, it's only up 5%. And people have a lot of opinions about how the XRP hasn't pumped, but no one can really buy XRP in America. No. And again, no one really even knows about it, really. I mean, it's not like so we'll see when it gets blasted all over the news, put back on to all the different exchanges. Like, that's what we're going to be looking for, with this token, like, after the lawsuit. I think the judge is going to say that all sales up to a certain point, that was a security, right? So if Ripple made a deal with MoneyGram, or Ripple made a deal with, Citibank, and they gave them XRP, that's an investment contract. They made an agreement with another institution and gave them XRP. All secondary sales of XRP, if I bought XRP off of an exchange, that's a secondary sale. That is not an investment contract. I did not sign an agreement with Ripple. And that's what this case is about. So I think both sides are going to win. Ripple's going to have to probably pay a huge fine for the sale of securities up to a certain point, and then we get the green light to move ahead, which, if Congress doesn't sign a bill, XRP and Bitcoin, who knows about Ethereum? I think it's theater, but we'll have 2 or 3 coins are the only ones that have regulatory clarity.
Yep, there you go.
So we'll see what happens. I'm very excited.
Yep. We are. It's cool.
It's very cool. All right, everybody. So hang in there. And DCA, when the market is going sideways and it's boring, we are dollar cost averaging.
Yep. One of my favorite things to do, foregoing that coffee out or dinner out and putting money into the market.
That's right. All right.
Yep. A few years down the road, all will be well. All right. Well, until next time.
Let's all HODL on.
Your hosts for Two Women in Crypto are Andrea Caldero and Kelly Lair. You'll find more information and details regarding the Two Women in Crypto membership, educational and informative class and event offerings, and more via their website, twowomenencrypto.com. Both Andrea and Kelly are available for speaking events and offer private consultations focused on helping individuals navigate the future. Until next time, HODL'on.